The Alpha chose her sister. Then he learned his true mate was carrying his heir. Chapter 1. The next morning began with humiliation. Again, Arya carried a basket of linens through the Blackwood estate, while servants whispered behind her back. "Did you see her face last night? I thought she'd cry." Poor thing believed the Alpha wanted her. Laughter followed. Arya kept walking. She had learned long ago that silence hurt less than fighting. Almost. She reached the laundry room and placed the basket down. Her hands were shaking. Not because of the gossip, because of what the seer had said. The heir lives. Those words had haunted her all night. Impossible. Completely impossible. She pressed a hand against her stomach. Nothing felt different. Nothing should have been different. Yet the strange silver mark on her wrist had appeared 3 weeks ago, and every day it glowed a little brighter. A knock interrupted her thoughts. "Arya?" She looked up. Celine stood in the doorway. Perfect as always. Perfect hair. Perfect smile. Perfect future Luna. "I've been looking for you." Arya forced a smile. "Congratulations." Celine stepped closer. For a moment, she actually looked uncomfortable. "Thank you." Silence stretched between them. Then Celine lowered her voice. "You don't hate me, do you?" The question stung. Arya laughed softly. "What would be the point?" Celine relaxed. "Good." That single word hurt more than anything else. Good. As if Arya's feelings had always been an inconvenience. As if her heart was something to be managed. Celine touched the golden ribbon around her wrist. "The Alpha and I will announce our engagement tonight." Arya nodded. "That's wonderful." It was a lie. Celine smiled, then she left. The moment the door closed, Arya sat down hard. Her chest ached. She had spent years believing fate would eventually notice her. Years believing kindness mattered. Years believing loyalty mattered. Now she felt foolish. A servant entered the room moments later. "You've been summoned." Arya frowned. "By who?" The servant swallowed nervously. "The Alpha." Everything inside her stopped. Ronan had never summoned her before. Never. Not once. 20 minutes later, she stood outside his private office. Her pulse thundered. A guard opened the door. "Go in." Arya stepped inside. The room smelled of cedarwood and rain. Ronan stood beside a large window overlooking the valley. Tall. Powerful. Untouchable. He didn't turn immediately. For several seconds he simply stared outside. Then finally he faced her. His expression was unreadable. "You spoke with the seer." Not a question, a statement. Arya nodded. "Briefly." "What did she say?" Her stomach tightened. Why would he care? "Nothing important." His jaw hardened. "Tell me." The command echoed through the room. Alpha power. Dominant. Dangerous. But something unexpected happened. The silver mark on Arya's wrist suddenly burned. A sharp heat. She gasped. Ronan froze. His eyes dropped to her arm. The glow had appeared. Bright. Visible. Impossible to hide. For the first time since she entered the room, the Alpha looked genuinely shocked. "What is that?" Arya quickly covered her wrist. "I don't know." "You're lying." "I swear I don't." The air between them grew tense. Ronan took a step closer, then another, and another, until only inches separated them. Suddenly his scent changed. Not aggressive, confused, drawn, almost desperate. His eyes darkened, as if some hidden instinct had awakened. Arya's pulse raced. She should move. She should leave. But neither of them moved. Neither of them breathed. Then the office door burst open. Celine rushed inside. "Ronan?" The spell shattered instantly. Ronan stepped back. Celine wrapped her arms around him possessively. Then she noticed Arya. And the jealousy in her eyes appeared so quickly it shocked Arya. "Why is she here?" Ronan didn't answer. He was still staring at Arya's wrist. Still staring at the fading silver glow, as though he'd seen a ghost. And for the first time since choosing Celine, fear appeared in the Alpha's eyes. Real fear. Because somewhere deep inside him, a terrible possibility had begun to form. What if he had chosen the wrong sister? And before anyone could speak again, a messenger crashed into the room. Breathless. Terrified. "My Alpha!" The man's face had gone pale. The royal healers just arrived from the northern kingdom. Ronan frowned. So? The messenger looked directly at Arya, then delivered words that turned the room silent. They say the moon goddess has finally identified the woman carrying the future heir, and every eye in the room landed on Arya. Chapter 2. The room fell silent. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Arya stared at the messenger. I'm sorry, what? The messenger swallowed hard. The royal healers traveled for 6 days. They followed a divine signal. Ronan's expression darkened. A signal? Yes, my alpha. The messenger pointed toward Arya. The signal ended here. Selene laughed suddenly. A sharp, nervous laugh. This is ridiculous. Nobody joined her. Not even Ronan. The messenger lowered his head. The healers are waiting in the council chamber. Ronan spoke immediately. Bring them. The messenger hurried away. Arya's pulse hammered against her ribs. This couldn't be happening. There had to be some mistake. A terrible mistake. Minutes later, the doors opened again. 3 women entered. They wore silver robes marked with the symbol of the moon goddess. Royal healers. The entire kingdom respected them. The oldest stepped forward. Her white hair reached her waist. Her eyes locked onto Arya instantly. Then she smiled. Not politely, knowingly, as if she had been searching for Arya for a very long time. There you are. Arya stepped backward. The healer's smile faded. Child, why are you frightened? Because I don't understand any of this. The woman nodded. That is understandable. Ronan folded his arms. Start explaining. The healer turned toward him. The moon goddess has marked a mother. Silence. The future royal heir grows within her. Selene scoffed. Then you've clearly found the wrong woman. The healer looked at her calmly. No. One word, nothing more. Yet it hit the room like thunder. Selene's face hardened. Excuse me? The healer ignored her. Instead, she walked toward Arya. May I see your wrist? Arya hesitated, then slowly revealed the silver mark. The moment the healer touched it, the symbol exploded with light. Silver fire danced across Arya's skin. Gasps filled the room. Even the guards stepped back. The healer closed her eyes. For several long seconds, nobody spoke. Then she opened them again. The mark is genuine. Ronan's voice was cold. Who is the father? Arya froze. The healer looked confused. You don't know? No. The healer frowned. That is impossible. It isn't. The room became tense again. The healer studied Arya carefully. Then, something changed in her expression. Concern. Real concern. You truly don't remember? Arya shook her head. I've never been with anyone. The healer's eyes widened. Selene laughed again. This time louder. There, problem solved. But the healer wasn't laughing. Not at all. Instead, she whispered something under her breath. Something ancient. Something nobody else understood. Then she looked directly at Ronan. My alpha. Speak. The goddess rarely intervenes directly. Ronan waited. The healer continued. When she does, it is because fate has been disturbed. A chill ran through the room. What does that mean? Ronan asked. The healer hesitated, then answered. It means someone interfered with a true mating bond. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Selene suddenly looked uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. Arya noticed immediately. So did Ronan. His eyes shifted toward Selene. Only for a second. But it was enough. Selene saw it, and panic flickered across her face. Gone, almost instantly. But not fast enough. What are you implying? Selene demanded. The healer remained calm. I'm implying nothing. A lie. Everyone knew it. Especially Selene. Ronan's jaw tightened. Leave us. The healers bowed. But before exiting, the oldest woman stopped beside Arya. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Trust nobody. Arya blinked. What? The healer squeezed her hand gently. Not everybody who smiles loves you. Then she left. The doors closed. Silence returned. Heavy. Dangerous silence. Selene was first to break it. This is absurd. Nobody answered. She looked at Ronan. Say something. Ronan remained quiet, which somehow felt worse. Much worse. For the first time since their ceremony, he seemed uncertain. Celine stepped closer. You believe me, don't you? Ronan finally spoke. I don't know what to believe. The words struck like a slap. Celine's face drained of color. Arya had never seen her sister look afraid before. Not once. Now she looked terrified. And that frightened Arya too. Because Celine wasn't afraid of losing Ronan. She was afraid of something else. Something bigger. Something hidden. That night Arya couldn't sleep. Rain tapped softly against her window. The healer's warning echoed inside her head. Trust nobody. Not everybody who smiles loves you. Hours passed. Then came the scream. A woman's scream. Loud. Terrified. Arya jumped from bed. The scream came again. From outside, she rushed to the window. Torches blazed across the estate grounds. People were running. Guards were shouting. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Arya quickly threw on a cloak and slipped outside. The night air felt cold, uneasy. She followed the crowd toward the eastern forest. More screams echoed through the darkness. Then she saw him. Ronan. Standing near the tree line. Sword drawn. Several warriors surrounded him. Arya pushed through the crowd. What happened? Nobody answered. Then she noticed the blood. Lots of blood. Fresh blood. A guard pointed toward the forest. Someone attacked the seer. Arya's stomach dropped. The old blind seer. The woman who had whispered those impossible words. The heir lives. Is she alive? Arya asked. The guard shook his head slowly. No. The world seemed to tilt. Dead. The one person who might have known the truth was dead. Ronan knelt beside something hidden beneath a blanket. His face looked carved from stone. Then he lifted a small object from the ground. A silver pendant. Moon-shaped. Beautiful. Familiar. Too familiar. Arya's breath caught, because she recognized it instantly. She had seen that pendant before. Hundreds of times. It belonged to only one person. Her sister, Celine. And at that exact moment, Ronan looked up. Their eyes met, and he silently held the pendant higher, as if asking the same horrifying question. Why was Celine's necklace found beside a murder victim? Chapter 3. The forest seemed to hold its breath. Rain dripped from the trees. Nobody spoke. Ronan stared at the silver pendant in his hand. Arya stared at it too. Her chest tightened. There was no mistake. It belonged to Celine. She had worn it for years. Every day. Every season. It had been a gift from their mother before she died. Arya knew every detail of it. Every scratch. Every tiny mark. A warrior stepped forward. My alpha. Should we inform Lady Celine? Ronan's eyes never left the pendant. No. The answer came instantly. The warrior blinked. No? Not yet. Something dangerous flickered across Ronan's face. Suspicion. For the first time, real suspicion. Arya hated it. Despite everything, Celine was still her sister. The thought of Ronan looking at her that way hurt. Yet another voice whispered inside Arya. Then why was the pendant here? Ronan suddenly stood. Everyone leave. The crowd obeyed immediately. Within moments, only a handful of warriors remained. And Arya. Ronan looked at her. You should return to your room. Arya shook her head. No. His eyebrow lifted slightly. No? The seer warned me today. Ronan went still. What did she say? She told me not to trust everyone. The alpha's expression darkened. Anything else? Arya hesitated. Something told her not to mention the words. The heir lives. Not yet. Not until she understood what they meant. So she shook her head. Ronan studied her carefully, almost as if he knew she wasn't telling him everything. But before he could speak again, another warrior emerged from the trees. My alpha. Ronan turned. What now? We found footprints. The warrior pointed deeper into the forest. 2 sets. Ronan frowned. 2? Yes. The alpha looked toward the darkness, then toward Arya. His next words surprised her. You're coming with us? What? The warriors exchanged confused looks. Ronan ignored them. Those footprints may be connected to this. He glanced toward the seer's body. And somehow, everything seems connected to you. Arya should have been offended. Instead, she felt afraid, because part of her believed he was right. An hour later, they were deep inside the forest. The rain had stopped. Mist curled around the trees. Moonlight filtered through the branches. The footprints remained visible in the mud. 2 people. Running. One larger, one smaller. The trail wound through the forest for nearly a mile, then suddenly stopped. Not faded. Stopped. As if both people had vanished. A warrior cursed softly. Impossible! Ronan crouched beside the final footprint. His eyes narrowed. Arya watched him carefully. Something about him felt different tonight. Less certain, less untouchable. Almost human. Then his gaze lifted. Straight toward a cliff overlooking the valley. Someone is up there. The warriors instantly reached for their weapons. Arya looked up. A figure stood at the edge. Tall, motionless, watching them. A second later the figure turned and disappeared. "Move!" Ronan shouted. Everyone ran. Branches snapped beneath their feet. Mud splashed. Arya struggled to keep up. The cliff wasn't far, yet by the time they reached it, nobody was there. Only wind, only darkness, only silence. Then Arya noticed something, a folded piece of parchment trapped beneath a stone. Her heart skipped. "I found something." Ronan took the parchment. The moment he opened it, his expression changed. Shock, then anger. Then something darker. Arya stepped closer. "What is it?" For several seconds he said nothing. Finally, he handed her the note. Her hands trembled as she read. "You chose the wrong sister." The words hit like a hammer. Below them was a second sentence. "The true Luna carries your blood." And beneath that, a symbol. A silver crescent moon. Exactly like the mark glowing on Arya's wrist. The warriors exchanged nervous looks. Nobody knew what to say. Because the note confirmed everyone's worst fear. Someone knew the truth. Someone had known it all along. Ronan crushed the parchment in his fist. Who wrote this? Nobody answered. How could they? Then another voice echoed across the cliff. A woman's voice. Weak. Frightened. "Help!" Everyone froze. The sound came from below, near the rocks. Ronan moved first. Minutes later they found her. A young servant, barely conscious, covered in bruises. Arya rushed forward. The girl's eyes widened when she saw her. Then she grabbed Arya's arm desperately. "So, sorry." Arya frowned. "For what?" The servant began shaking, terrified, as if she expected someone to kill her for speaking. Then she whispered 3 words. It was Celine. Silence. Absolute silence. The girl started crying. "She paid me." Arya's stomach dropped. "Paid you for what?" The servant looked around fearfully, then lowered her voice. "To switch the ceremony records." Everything stopped. Even the wind seemed to disappear. Ronan went completely still. The servant continued between sobs. "She said nobody would get hurt." Arya couldn't breathe. "What records?" "The mating records." Ronan's eyes darkened. The girl squeezed her eyes shut. "As children, every wolf is tested." Arya knew that. Everyone knew that. The Moon Temple recorded potential mating bonds. The information remained sealed until adulthood. Sacred. Untouchable. The servant's voice broke. "Lady Celine ordered me to replace 2 names." Ronan's face turned pale. "No." The servant nodded. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "Years ago." Arya's legs nearly gave out. No, that wasn't possible." The servant grabbed her hand. "I didn't know what it meant. Tell me." The girl looked directly into Arya's eyes, then whispered the words that shattered everything. "The original record listed you as Alpha Ronan's true mate." The world exploded into silence. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Arya felt her heart stop. Ronan looked as though he'd been struck, and far away, hidden somewhere in the darkness beyond the trees, a wolf howled. Long, lonely. Warning. Because someone else had heard the confession, someone who would do anything to keep that secret buried. Chapter 4. The howl echoed through the forest. Every warrior turned toward the sound. Weapons were drawn instantly. Ronan stepped in front of Arya without thinking. The movement was so natural that neither of them noticed it at first. But the warriors did. And so did Arya. For years, Ronan had barely looked at her. Now he stood between her and danger. The realization left her strangely unsettled. "Protect the witness," Ronan ordered. Two warriors immediately moved beside the injured servant. The girl looked terrified. "My alpha? She'll kill me." Ronan's eyes narrowed. "Who?" The servant swallowed hard. "Celine." The name hung in the air. Heavy. Dangerous. Nobody wanted to say it aloud. Not yet. Not without proof. Ronan looked toward the darkness. We returned to the estate. The journey back was silent. Arya walked several steps behind him. Her mind felt numb. "True, mate." The words repeated endlessly. It couldn't be true. If it were, everything would change. Everything. She glanced at Ronan. He looked just as shaken. For the first time in her life, the powerful alpha seemed lost. Completely lost. The estate appeared just before dawn. Most of the pack still slept, but news traveled quickly. Whispers followed them through the halls. Questions, rumors, fear. Ronan escorted the injured servant directly to the healer's wing. Then he turned toward Arya. "Come with me." She hesitated. "Why?" His jaw tightened. "Because someone tried to kill the seer." A pause. "And because someone may try to kill you next." The words sent a chill through her body. An hour later, Arya found herself in a guest suite near the Alpha's private chambers. The room was larger than the house she had grown up in. She hated it immediately. It felt wrong, like she didn't belong there. A maid arrived carrying fresh clothes. "These are for you." Arya stared. The dresses were beautiful. Far too beautiful. "I can't accept these." The maid smiled nervously. "The Alpha ordered it." "Of course he did." The maid left. Arya sat on the edge of the bed and buried her face in her hands. Everything was changing too fast. The door opened unexpectedly. She looked up. Ronan stood there. For several seconds neither spoke. Finally he entered. I questioned the servant again. Arya's heart tightened. And her story hasn't changed. The room became quiet. Ronan moved closer to the window. His shoulders looked heavier somehow, as though years had suddenly landed on them. "Why didn't you tell me?" Arya blinked. "Tell you what? If you suspected anything." A bitter laugh escaped her. "You think I knew?" His silence answered the question. Arya stood. Anger flared unexpectedly. "Do you really believe I spent years hiding this from you? I don't know what to believe anymore." The words stung. Again. Always that answer. She turned away. "I loved my sister." The confession slipped out before she could stop it. Silence followed. Painful silence. Arya stared at the floor. "I trusted her." Her voice cracked. "I defended her." Another pause. "I was happy when you chose her." That was a lie. But only partly. The truth was complicated. She had been devastated, yet she had still wanted Celine to be happy. Ronan watched her carefully. Something shifted in his expression. For the first time, he truly seemed to see her. Not the servant, not the forgotten Omega, her. "You deserved better." Arya looked up sharply. The words shocked her, because nobody had ever said them before. Not once. Ronan looked away first. Almost uncomfortable, the silence between them changed. Not romantic, not yet. Just honest. Real. Then a knock shattered the moment. A guard entered. "My Alpha." Ronan turned. "What is it?" The guard looked uneasy. "Lady Celine wishes to see you." Arya's stomach dropped. Ronan's expression hardened instantly. "Tell her I'm busy." The guard hesitated. "She says it's urgent." A long pause followed. Finally Ronan nodded. "Fine." The guard left. Moments later Celine entered the room. Her eyes landed on Arya first, then the expensive suite, then the dresses. A storm flashed across her face, gone almost instantly. replaced by a smile. A perfect smile. Too perfect. My sister? Arya didn't answer. Celine looked hurt. Or pretended to. I've been worried about you. Ronan watched quietly. Observing. Measuring. Celine moved closer. I heard about the attack. Her voice trembled. Are you all right? Arya nodded slowly. Celine reached for her hand, then froze. The silver mark on Arya's wrist had become brighter. Much brighter. Fear flashed across Celine's eyes. Real fear. Not jealousy. Not anger. Fear. The same fear Arya had seen before. And suddenly, a memory surfaced. A forgotten memory. Years ago, when they were children, Celine had once caught Arya staring at an old Moon Temple record. A record bearing Ronan's name. Celine had snatched it away immediately. Then burned it. At the time, Arya hadn't understood why. Now her blood ran cold. Because she finally did. Celine noticed her expression. The smile disappeared. What? Arya stared at her. What was in that record? The question hit like lightning. Celine froze. Completely froze. Ronan noticed. So did Arya. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then Celine laughed. Too quickly. Too loudly. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. The room became deadly quiet. Celine's eyes narrowed. You should be careful, Arya. The words sounded harmless. But the threat beneath them was unmistakable. Ronan stepped forward immediately. Enough. Celine looked at him. Shock crossed her face. Because he wasn't defending her. He was defending Arya. For the first time, ever. Something dangerous flickered inside Celine's eyes. Something cold. Something desperate. Then she smiled again. I understand. She turned toward the door, but before leaving, she looked back. Not at Ronan. At Arya. And the hatred in that glance was impossible to miss. The door closed behind her. Arya released a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Ronan's voice came quietly. She's hiding something. Arya nodded. Yes. Neither spoke for several seconds. Then a distant scream echoed through the estate. Another one. Then another. The guard outside shouted. Footsteps thundered through the corridor. Ronan rushed to the door. A warrior nearly collided with him. My Alpha! What happened? The warrior's face was pale. Terrified. The witness is gone. Ronan froze. The servant? Yes. Arya's heart dropped. No. The warrior shook his head desperately. It gets worse. The room fell silent. The warrior swallowed, then delivered the words that turned everyone's blood cold. We found a note on her bed. Ronan snatched it from the warrior's hand. His eyes scanned the message. Instantly, his expression darkened. What does it say? Arya asked. Slowly, Ronan handed her the paper. Her hands trembled as she read. The message contained only one sentence. The wrong sister was never the real enemy. And beneath the sentence, someone had drawn a symbol. A silver crescent moon, identical to the mark glowing on Arya's wrist. But this time there was something else. A single name written underneath. One name, one person, one impossible warning. Arya. Chapter 5. Arya stared at the note. Her own name stared back at her. Written in dark ink. Deliberate. Careful. Almost intimate. A chill crawled down her spine. Who wrote this? She whispered. No one answered. Because no one knew. Ronan took the paper back. His eyes moved across the words again. The wrong sister was never the real enemy. He looked troubled. Deeply troubled. As though a puzzle he had spent years ignoring was finally revealing itself. What does it mean? Arya asked. Ronan folded the note. I don't know. But his voice suggested otherwise. He knew something. Or suspected something. Before Arya could press him, another guard rushed into the hallway. My Alpha. What now? The witness's room. Ronan's expression hardened. Show me. Minutes later, they entered the healer's wing. Chaos filled the corridor. Guards everywhere. Healers whispering nervously. The room itself looked untouched. Too untouched. The bed remained neatly made. The window was locked. The door had been guarded. Yet the servant had vanished. Gone. As if she had dissolved into thin air. Ronan examined the room carefully. Every corner, every shadow. Then he stopped beside the bedside table. "What is this?" A healer approached. "We found it after she disappeared." She handed him a small leather pouch. Ronan opened it. Inside lay a single crystal, silver, glowing faintly. Arya's stomach twisted. The crystal looked familiar. Very familiar. The healer noticed. "You've seen one before." It wasn't a question. Arya nodded slowly. Years ago. The memory surfaced instantly. A hidden room beneath her childhood home. Her mother holding a crystal exactly like this, telling her never to touch it. Never. The memory vanished as quickly as it came. Ronan noticed her expression. "What is it?" Arya hesitated, then told him. The Alpha listened carefully. When she finished, his eyes narrowed. "Your mother had one?" "Yes." "Did she explain what it was?" Arya shook her head. "No." The healer looked suddenly interested. "Describe the room." Arya frowned. "Why?" "Please." Slowly, Arya described what little she remembered. The stone walls, the hidden staircase, the strange moon symbols carved into the floor. The healer went pale, completely pale. Ronan noticed immediately. "You recognize it?" The woman nodded. "Yes." Silence filled the room. "What is it?" Ronan demanded. The healer swallowed. "A sanctuary." The word meant nothing to Arya, but it clearly meant something to Ronan. His expression darkened instantly. "Those were destroyed. Most were." "Most?" The healer looked toward Arya, then lowered her voice. "They belonged to an ancient bloodline." Arya blinked. "What bloodline?" The healer hesitated, almost unwilling to answer. Finally she spoke. "The Moonborn." The room became quiet. Very quiet. Several guards exchanged nervous looks. Even Ronan seemed surprised. Arya stared at them. "What does that mean?" Nobody answered immediately, which only made her more anxious. Finally the healer spoke. "The Moonborn were guardians." "Guardians of what?" "The goddess's will." Arya laughed nervously. "That sounds like a fairy tale." "It isn't." The healer's voice remained calm, deadly calm. "Thousands of years ago, the Moonborn protected royal heirs before they were born." Arya felt her pulse quicken. No. This couldn't be connected. Could it? The healer continued. "Their bloodline disappeared generations ago." A pause. "At least, that's what everyone believed." Her eyes settled on Arya. And suddenly the room felt very small, very warm, very dangerous. "You think I'm one of them?" The healer didn't answer. She didn't need to. The silence said enough. Ronan stepped forward. "This changes nothing." The healer looked surprised. "Doesn't it?" "No." His voice was firm. "The only thing that matters right now is finding the truth." For some reason, those words eased Arya's fear. Only slightly, but enough. Then a loud crash echoed from outside. Everyone jumped. A second crash followed. Glass shattered somewhere inside the estate. Guards immediately rushed into motion. Ronan grabbed Arya's wrist. "Stay behind me." The contact shocked both of them. His hand tightened instinctively, protectively. For a brief moment neither moved, neither spoke. Then another scream shattered the silence. Ronan released her immediately. "Move." They hurried toward the main hall. Servants flooded the corridors, panicked, confused. A guard appeared at the far end. "My Alpha! What happened?" The guard looked horrified. "The archive." Ronan froze. The archive contained centuries of pack records, sacred records, mating records, birth records, everything. "What about it?" The guard swallowed. "It's burning." The words hit like thunder. Ronan cursed, then ran. Everyone followed. Smoke filled the eastern wing. Flames climbed the walls. Warriors formed lines carrying water. Healers evacuated servants. The archive was an inferno. Arya stared in horror. Someone had done this intentionally. Someone wanted those records gone. Forever. Ronan pushed toward the entrance. A warrior stopped him. "It's too dangerous." The Alpha ignored him. Then suddenly, Arya noticed something. Someone, standing on a distant balcony, watching the fire. And watching all of them. A hooded figure. Motionless. Silent. Their eyes met. For one brief second. Then the figure smiled. A cold smile. And disappeared into the smoke. "Ronan!" Arya pointed upward. The Alpha turned instantly. But the figure was already gone. Damn it. Warriors rushed after the stranger. Minutes passed. Then one of them returned. Empty-handed. "We lost them." Ronan looked furious. But Arya barely noticed. Because another memory had surfaced. Sharp. Clear. Painfully clear. Her mother. The hidden sanctuary. The silver crystal. And one sentence. A sentence she had forgotten until now. A sentence spoken the night before her mother died. "If they discover who you really are, they will come for the child." Arya's blood turned to ice. The child. Not a child. The child. One specific child. One unborn heir. The same heir everyone was suddenly searching for. And before she could tell Ronan what she remembered, a healer came running through the smoke. Terrified. "My Alpha?" Ronan turned. "What is it?" The healer struggled to catch her breath. Then she delivered the words that changed everything. "We completed the divine blood examination." The world seemed to stop. Ronan's face hardened. "And?" The healer looked directly at Arya. Tears filled her eyes. "My lady." Arya's heart pounded. The healer's voice broke. "The child isn't merely a future heir." Silence. Absolute silence. Then, the healer whispered the impossible truth. "The child is the last living royal heir in the entire kingdom." Chapter 6. Nobody spoke. The crackling fire seemed distant now. Muted. Unreal. Arya stared at the healer. The last royal heir? The words barely left her lips. The healer nodded slowly. Tears still shimmered in her eyes. "Yes." Arya shook her head. "No. This couldn't be happening. Not to her. Not to the forgotten Omega everyone ignored. Not to the servant nobody noticed." The healer stepped closer. "My lady." But the examination was repeated 3 times. "My lady." The title sounded wrong. Strange. As if it belonged to someone else. Ronan looked equally stunned. For several seconds he simply stood there, silent, thinking. Then he asked the question everyone feared. "If this child is the last royal heir?" The healer nodded. "Then many people will want that child dead." The words landed like a blade. Arya's stomach twisted. Suddenly the fires, the murdered seer, the missing witness, the mysterious notes. Everything felt connected. Someone wasn't protecting the heir. Someone was hunting the heir. And that someone had been moving for years. Maybe decades. The realization terrified her. A cold wind swept through the ruined archive. Smoke drifted around them. The healer lowered her voice. "We must leave." Ronan looked at her sharply. "What?" "We must leave tonight." "Why?" The healer's expression darkened. "Because if the old stories are true, the people behind this already know." A long silence followed. Then Arya spoke quietly. "The people behind what?" The healer hesitated. "Too long. Much too long." Finally she answered. "The Eclipse Court." Even Ronan looked unsettled. Arya noticed immediately. "You know who they are." The Alpha didn't answer right away. His eyes remained fixed on the flames. Finally he spoke. "Most people think they're a myth." The healer shook her head. "They're real." A chill settled over everyone. "The Eclipse Court has existed for centuries," she continued. "They manipulate kingdoms. They remove heirs. They destroy bloodlines." Arya felt sick. No. This was madness. Fairy tales. Legends. Stories meant to frighten children. Yet nobody in the room looked amused. Nobody laughed. Because they all believed it. And deep down, so did she. Hours later, darkness covered the estate. Most servants had been sent away. Extra guards patrolled every corridor. every entrance, every window. Still, Arya couldn't relax. She sat beside a small fireplace in her suite, alone, or at least she thought she was. A knock interrupted her thoughts. Before she could answer, the door opened. Ronan entered. He looked exhausted. For the first time, truly exhausted. The alpha who always appeared untouchable suddenly looked human. Very human. Arya stood. "You should rest." He almost smiled. "That's what everyone keeps telling me." Silence followed. Neither seemed eager to break it. Finally, Ronan walked toward the fireplace. For several moments, he simply stared into the flames. Then he spoke. "I remember the first time I met you." Arya blinked. The statement surprised her. "You do." His gaze remained on the fire. "You were 10. Her breath caught. She remembered. A rainy afternoon. A frightened wolf pup trapped beneath a fallen tree. Everyone else had run away. She hadn't. Neither had Ronan. Together, they had freed the animal. She had forgotten about it afterward. Apparently he hadn't. "You cried when the pup limped away." A small smile touched his lips. Arya laughed softly. "I thought it was dying." "You cried harder than the wolf." For the first time in days, she smiled genuinely. The moment felt strange, comfortable, easy. Then the smile faded. Because reality returned. Everything always returned. "Why are you here, Ronan?" The question hung between them. The alpha grew quiet, very quiet. Finally he answered. "Because I owe you an apology." Arya froze. An apology? From Ronan? Impossible. Yet here he stood, looking directly at her. "I should have questioned things sooner." His voice was low, steady. "I should have paid attention." The words hurt. Not because they were cruel, because they were true. Years of being invisible. Years of standing in the background. Years of watching him choose everyone except her. Ronan looked away. "I failed you." Silence filled the room. Arya didn't know what to say, because part of her had dreamed of hearing those words. For years. And now that they had arrived, they didn't fix anything. They couldn't. Too much damage already existed. Too many scars. Finally she spoke. "You didn't owe me anything." His eyes lifted immediately. "That's not true." Something shifted between them. A fragile thread. Not love. Not yet. Trust. The beginning of trust. Then suddenly Ronan winced. His hand pressed against his chest. Hard. Arya frowned. "What happened?" The alpha's jaw tightened. Nothing. A lie. She could see it. Another sharp pain crossed his face. Arya stepped closer. "Ronan, I'm fine." He wasn't. Not even close. Then something impossible happened. The silver mark on Arya's wrist began glowing. Bright. Brighter than ever before. The room filled with silver light. Ronan's pain vanished instantly. Both of them froze. The glow continued for several seconds, then faded. Silence followed. Heavy silence. Neither spoke. Neither understood. But both knew what they had witnessed. Something connected them. Something far beyond ordinary mating bonds. Something ancient. Something powerful. And for the first time, Ronan looked afraid. Not of Arya. For her. A sudden explosion shattered the moment. The entire room shook. Glass shattered. Servants screamed outside. Ronan immediately moved toward the door. What was that? A guard burst into the room. Pale. Terrified. "My alpha!" Ronan's voice hardened. "Report." The guard struggled to breathe. "The northern gate." "What about it?" The man's face had gone white. "Someone attacked." Arya's pulse quickened. "Who?" The guard swallowed, then answered. "A royal convoy." The room became silent. The healer had mentioned traveling with royal escorts. Had another group arrived? Ronan asked the next question. "Who survived?" The guard looked directly at Arya, then at Ronan, and suddenly neither liked the answer forming on his lips. "My alpha." The guard's voice trembled. "They carried a message from the queen." Arya's heart skipped. The queen? The ruler herself? Ronan stepped forward. "Where is the message?" The guard handed over a sealed scroll. The royal seal remained intact. Ronan opened it immediately. His eyes scanned the contents. Instantly, all color vanished from his face. Arya had never seen him look shocked before. Not truly shocked. Now he looked stunned, terrified. Almost. Ronan? Slowly, he lowered the scroll. For several seconds, he couldn't speak. Then, finally, he looked at Arya and delivered the words that changed everything. The queen is dead. Silence. Absolute silence. Then came the second sentence, the one that shattered whatever remained of their old lives. And according to this letter, his voice grew quieter. She named you her successor before she died. Chapter 7. The words hung in the air, heavy, unreal. Arya shook her head slowly. No, that's impossible. Ronan didn't answer immediately. He just stared at the royal scroll in his hand. As if reading it again might change the meaning. It didn't. The guard stepped back nervously. My Alpha. The royal seal is authentic. Silence. Then Arya whispered, Why would the queen name me? Ronan's voice was low. I don't know. But something in his eyes said otherwise. He suspected something. Something he wasn't saying. The healer suddenly stepped forward. This changes everything. Ronan snapped his gaze to her. No, it changes nothing. The healer hesitated. My Alpha. I said no. His tone cracked like steel. The room went quiet again. Arya felt it then. Something shifting. Not just power. Not just politics. Something personal. Dangerous. Outside, another explosion echoed through the estate. Closer this time. Ronan turned sharply. Evacuate the east wing. Guards rushed out immediately. The healer grabbed Arya's arm. We need to leave. Now. Arya pulled back. Where? The healer's face was pale. Anywhere but here. Ronan stepped between them. She stays with me. The words hit Arya harder than expected. Celine's voice suddenly echoed from the corridor. Oh, how touching. Everyone froze. Celine walked in slowly. Her expression calm. Too calm. Behind her, 2 armed warriors followed. Ronan narrowed his eyes. What are you doing here? Celine smiled. I came to say goodbye. Arya frowned. Goodbye? Celine looked at her. For the first time, no fake warmth remained. Only ice. You should have stayed invisible, Arya. The air tightened instantly. Ronan stepped forward. Explain yourself. Celine tilted her head. I think you already understand. A pause. Then she added softly, I did what I had to do. Arya's heart dropped. The records, the servant, the seer? Celine didn't deny it. She didn't confirm it either. That silence was answer enough. Ronan's voice darkened. You started all of this. Celine finally looked at him. Not with fear, with disappointment. No, Ronan. Her voice softened. You did. The room went still. Celine continued. You chose wrong. Her gaze moved to Arya. And now, the world is correcting itself. Arya felt her blood run cold. What does that mean? Celine smiled faintly. It means the queen was never supposed to name you. Ronan's eyes sharpened. You interfered with the royal line. Celine shrugged slightly. I preserved it. A warrior outside shouted. Enemy breach at the North Hall. Chaos erupted again. Guards rushed in every direction, but Celine didn't move. She stayed perfectly still, watching them all collapse into panic. Arya stepped back. You're working with them. Celine's eyes flickered. Just for a moment. But it was enough. Ronan saw it too. The realization hit him like a strike. The Eclipse Court. Celine didn't deny it. That was the confirmation. Arya's chest tightened painfully. Why? Celine looked at her like she was explaining something simple. Because order matters. A pause. And you were never part of it. Ronan moved instantly. Celine raised her hand, and the warriors behind her stepped forward. Weapons drawn. Ronan stopped. Traitors? Celine sighed. No, loyalists. The estate shook again. Another blast. Closer. The walls cracked slightly. Dust fell from the ceiling. Arya felt her knees weaken. Everything was collapsing. Celine looked at Ronan. You still have a choice. Ronan's voice was sharp. There is no choice. Celine nodded slowly. then you've already lost. She turned toward Arya. And you, her gaze softened slightly, almost pitying, were never meant to survive this long. Arya's breath caught. What are you talking about? Celine reached into her sleeve, pulled out a small obsidian dagger. The air froze. Ronan reacted instantly, but Celine didn't attack. Not yet. Instead, she spoke quietly. The child you carry. Arya went rigid. Ronan froze. Even the warriors stopped moving. Celine smiled. Is not the first. Silence. A nightmare kind of silence. Arya's voice barely came out. What? Celine stepped closer. Do you really think you're special? Ronan's voice turned deadly. Celine. But she ignored him. There were others. A pause. They all failed. Arya's hands trembled. What happened to them? Celine tilted her head. They died. The word hit like ice. Ronan moved again, this time faster. But Celine lifted the dagger slightly, and everything stopped again, because Arya felt it. A sudden sharp pain in her chest. Not physical, deeper. The silver mark on her wrist burned violently. She gasped. Celine smiled. Ah, it's waking up. Ronan's expression changed instantly. What did you do to her? Celine whispered. I didn't do anything. Then she looked at Arya. It's already inside her. The ground shook again. This time stronger. A massive explosion echoed from outside. The ceiling cracked further. Celine took one step back. This is your final warning. Her eyes locked on Ronan. Choose her. A pause. And you destroy everything. She lowered the dagger. And if you don't, her gaze shifted to Arya. She dies anyway. A beat of silence. Then Celine turned and walked out through the chaos. The warriors followed her immediately, disappearing into smoke and fire. Ronan moved toward the door, but Arya grabbed his arm. Don't. He stopped. For the first time, hesitation flickered across his face. Outside, the estate was falling apart. Inside, something worse was beginning. Arya looked at him. Everything she said. Ronan didn't answer, because neither of them knew anymore. Then Arya whispered something that changed the air completely. My mother knew. Ronan turned sharply. What? Arya's eyes widened. I remember, she said, the child. Her voice shook. The child already existed before me. Ronan went still. Arya stepped back slowly. What if I'm not the first? A long silence. Then another explosion rocked the estate. And somewhere deep beneath the chaos, something ancient began to awaken. Chapter 8. The ground trembled again. But this time, it didn't feel like an attack. It felt like an awakening. Arya clutched her wrist. The silver mark burned brighter than ever. Ronan grabbed her shoulders. Look at me. Her breathing was uneven. I can't stop it. The glow spread across her skin, like living light. Like something trying to break free. Ronan's voice dropped. What is happening to you? Before she could answer, the healer rushed in. Her face was pale with terror. It's begun. Ronan snapped his head toward her. What has begun? The healer pointed at Arya. The seal is breaking. Arya stepped back. What seal? The healer hesitated, then spoke softly. The one placed on you before birth. Silence. Ronan went still. That's impossible. The healer shook her head. It was hidden. Deep magic. Older than the packs. Arya's voice trembled. Who sealed me? No one answered immediately. Because the answer was dangerous. Finally the healer whispered. The Eclipse Court. The room went cold. Ronan's jaw tightened. So Celine was right. The healer nodded. Partially. Arya looked between them. Stop talking like I'm not here. Ronan turned to her instantly. You are not the enemy. Arya laughed bitterly. Everyone says that before they betray me. A loud crash echoed outside. The eastern wall collapsed partially. Dust filled the air. Guards shouted. But inside the room, time slowed. Ronan stepped closer. I never betrayed you. Arya shook her head. You chose Celine. A flicker of pain crossed his face. That was before I knew the truth. She looked at him sharply. And now? Ronan didn't answer immediately. Then, a scream outside. A second later, the healer grabbed Arya's arm. Now you must run. Arya froze. Run where? The healer's voice shook. To the sanctuary. Ronan frowned. That place is gone. The healer shook her head. Not the original one. A pause. There is another. Arya's pulse quickened. Where? The healer looked directly at her. Inside you. Silence. Then chaos erupted outside again. The door burst open. A warrior stumbled in, bleeding. My alpha! Ronan turned instantly. What happened? The warrior gasped. The Eclipse Court. They breached the inner gates. Ronan's expression hardened. How many? The warrior swallowed. Too many. Another explosion rocked the estate. The ceiling cracked further. Ronan grabbed Arya's hand. Stay behind me. But she didn't move. Something inside her had changed. The mark was no longer just glowing. It was pulsing, like a heartbeat. Arya whispered, I feel them. Ronan looked at her sharply. Feel what? Arya's eyes widened. Voices. The healer stepped back. It's opening. Ronan's grip tightened. What is opening? Arya's voice became distant. Something under the world. The ground suddenly split slightly near the wall. A thin crack spread outward. Silver light leaked from it. Everyone froze. The healer whispered, The seal chamber. Ronan's eyes widened. There is no seal chamber beneath this estate. The healer shook her head. There is beneath her blood. Arya stumbled back. I don't understand. Ronan stepped closer. Arya, stay with me. But she wasn't listening anymore. Her eyes fixed on the crack. The silver light was calling to her, pulling her, like it knew her, like it was her. A voice echoed in her mind, soft, ancient, awake. Return? Arya gasped. Ronan caught her before she fell. Arya! Her vision blurred. The world tilted, and then, the ground beneath her shattered completely. Silver light exploded upward. A hidden staircase formed from the broken floor, leading down, deep, endless. Cold wind rose from below. The healer whispered in horror. It's open. Ronan stared down the staircase. What is down there? The healer's voice trembled. The truth they erased. Arya stepped forward unconsciously. Ronan grabbed her again. No. But she didn't stop. For the first time, she wasn't afraid. I need to go. Ronan shook his head. You don't know what's down there. Arya looked at him. Neither do you. Silence. Outside, the estate continued to collapse. Inside, something far older was waiting. Arya took one step toward the stairs, then another. Ronan followed immediately. If you go, I go with you. Arya glanced back at him. Why? His answer was simple. Because I chose wrong once. A pause. I won't do it again. A deep rumble echoed from below. Like something responding. The healer stepped back. You don't have much time. Arya nodded slowly. Then turned toward the stairs, and began to descend. Ronan followed, step by step, into the silver darkness. And behind them, the entrance sealed itself shut, as if the world itself refused to let them return. Far above, Selene stood on a burning balcony, watching the estate collapse, smiling faintly. It's finally waking up, she whispered. Then she raised her hand, and the Eclipse Court advanced. Because the final phase had begun, and Arya Thorne was no longer just a girl. She was the key to everything, and the world was about to decide whether she would save it or end it. Chapter 9. The staircase swallowed them in silver light, step after step. The air grew colder, heavier. Ronan stayed close behind Arya, too close, as if distance itself could betray her. The walls around them weren't stone. They were something older, carved with glowing symbols. Arya touched one without thinking. It burned faintly, but didn't hurt. It responded. Ronan noticed. Don't touch anything. I didn't mean to. But her voice felt distant, like she wasn't fully in her body anymore. The deeper they went, the louder the voice became. The same voice. Ancient, soft. Return, Arya whispered. Do you hear that? Ronan shook his head. No. That alone terrified her more. Because it meant it was only in her mind. Or worse. Inside her. They reached a wide chamber below. The stairs ended abruptly. The room opened like a cathedral carved from light and shadow. And in the center, a crystal pillar, floating, pulsing. Silver! Ronan froze. What is that? Arya stepped forward. I know it. He grabbed her wrist. No, you don't. But she pulled free. I do. Each step toward the crystal made her vision sharper. Memories flickered. Not hers, but close. A woman's hands. A crown. A cry. A sacrifice. Arya gasped. Ronan stepped closer. What are you seeing? I don't know. Her voice broke. But it knows me. The crystal pulsed harder. A wave of energy hit the chamber. Ronan staggered slightly. Arya, come back. But she didn't hear him properly anymore. The voice filled everything. Child of broken fate, Arya whispered. I didn't break anything. The crystal responded. A flash of light exploded outward. Suddenly, images filled the air. A past kingdom. A war. The eclipse court standing over bodies. And a woman, identical to Arya. Ronan went still. That's impossible. Arya stepped closer. She looks like me. The healer's voice echoed faintly in memory. There were others. Celine's words returned. They all failed. Arya's breathing quickened. No. The crystal revealed more. A child. A baby. Marked with silver. Then taken away. Arya stumbled back. Ronan caught her instantly. What did you see? Her voice shook violently. I wasn't the first. Silence. The crystal pulsed again. A deeper voice emerged. Not in her head this time. In the room. You are the last echo. Ronan's grip tightened. Who is speaking? The crystal brightened. And then it formed a shape. A figure. Not fully human. Not fully spirit. But watching them. Arya stepped forward. You're the one calling me. The figure tilted its head. I am what remains. Ronan raised his sword instantly. Stay away from her. The figure ignored him. It looked only at Arya. You carry the final seal. Arya shook her head. I don't understand any of this. The figure moved closer. The first was broken. The second was erased. The third survived. Hidden. A pause. And now the fourth awakens. Ronan frowned. What fourth? The figure turned slightly toward him. The heir is not one child. Silence. A terrible silence. The figure continued. The heir is a cycle, Arya whispered. That's not possible. But deep inside, she felt it. Something resonating, like truth. The crystal flared. Images shifted again. Celine, as a child, standing in the same chamber, watching, smiling. Ronan's face darkened instantly. She knew. Arya turned sharply. What? Ronan's voice turned cold. Celine has been here before. The figure confirmed it. The one you call sister has always been close to the seal. Arya's chest tightened. No. Memories collided now. Celine burning records. Celine warning her. Celine's fear. Not jealousy. Fear of this place. The truth hit like a storm. She didn't protect the bloodline, Arya whispered. She controlled it. Ronan stepped forward. Where is she now? The figure paused, then answered. Ascending. Arya frowned. Ascending to what? The crystal pulsed violently. The chamber shook. The figure's voice deepened. The eclipse court is not outside this place. A pause. It is inside the throne of your world. Ronan's expression hardened. Explain. The figure turned fully toward them and spoke the final truth. The queen was not the last ruler. She was the last prisoner. Silence. Arya felt the world collapse inward. What? The figure looked at her. And you? A pause. Are her successor in both blood and burden. Ronan stepped closer. This ends now. Tell me everything. The figure raised a hand. But before it could speak, a violent explosion echoed from above. The ceiling cracked. Dust rained down. Ronan grabbed Arya instantly. We're not alone. Arya looked up. Through the crack in the ceiling, she saw shadows moving. Dozens. Descending. Celine's voice echoed faintly from above. Arya! Soft. Almost gentle. It's time to come home. Ronan's eyes darkened. They followed us. Arya shook her head slowly. No, because she realized something worse. They were already here. The crystal flared violently. The figure whispered its final warning. The seal is breaking completely. Ronan raised his sword. Arya stepped forward. For the first time, not behind him, beside him, above them, footsteps descended. Warriors of the Eclipse Court surrounded the opening, and at the center of them, Celine stepped into view, smiling, calm, powerful, and for the first time, not pretending. Hello, little sister. Arya's voice trembled. Why are you doing this? Celine tilted her head. Because you were never meant to wake up. Ronan stepped forward. Enough. Celine looked at him and smiled faintly. You're still choosing her? A pause. Even now? Ronan didn't hesitate. Yes. Something shifted in Celine's expression. Something dark. Then she sighed. Then you both die together. The crystal behind Arya exploded in light. The chamber shook violently, and the final truth began to awaken. Chapter 10. The chamber collapsed into light. Silver energy erupted from the crystal. The entire underground world trembled. Celine didn't move. She stood at the edge of the opening like she owned the storm itself. Calm. Unshaken. Ronan stepped in front of Arya instantly, but Arya stopped him. No. He turned sharply. What? Her eyes were different now. Clearer. Stronger. I don't need hiding anymore. Celine laughed softly from above. That's new. Arya looked up at her sister. For the first time, without fear. Tell me the truth. Celine tilted her head. The truth is simple. A pause. You were never meant to survive the sealing. The crystal pulsed violently behind Arya. Ronan's voice sharpened. What sealing? Celine sighed. As a child, she was chosen. Her gaze shifted to Arya, but she was unstable. Arya froze. Ronan frowned. That makes no sense. Celine smiled faintly. Oh, it does. She stepped closer to the edge. The moonborn line doesn't pass cleanly. A pause. It fractures, Arya whispered. So I'm a fracture? Celine nodded. Exactly. The words should have broken her. But they didn't. Instead, something inside Arya steadied. Like acceptance. Like memory finally aligning. Celine continued. That's why I replaced the records. Ronan's eyes darkened. You destroyed her life. Celine didn't deny it. I saved the kingdom. A heavy silence fell. Then the crystal behind Arya spoke again. But this time, it wasn't a voice. It was a pulse, a rhythm, her heartbeat. Ronan noticed instantly. Arya. She placed a hand over her chest. I feel it. Celine's smile faded slightly. No. The crystal flared brighter. Arya stepped toward it. Stop her! Celine snapped. But no one moved fast enough. Because Ronan didn't stop her. He followed her instead. Celine's expression cracked for the first time. Ronan! Don't! But he didn't listen. He reached Arya's side. Whatever happens, he said quietly. I'm here. Arya looked at him. You might die. He shrugged slightly. Then I die. Something softened in her chest. Something real. Above them, Eclipse Court warriors descended further. Celine's voice turned sharp. This ends now. She raised her hand. Dark energy gathered. The chamber trembled violently. The crystal responded. Not defensively. Not aggressively. Recognizing. Arya whispered, It's not attacking. Ronan frowned. What? It's waking up. Celine's eyes widened slightly. No. Arya stepped forward. For the first time, she didn't resist the pull. She embraced it. I remember now. Ronan turned sharply. What do you mean? Arya's voice shook. But not from fear. From truth. I wasn't sealed to be hidden. A pause. I was sealed to be split. Celine froze. The crystal exploded into memory again. Not images this time. A voice. The original queen's voice. Soft. Broken. If she becomes whole, the eclipse court ends. Ronan's eyes widened. Celine whispered. No. Arya turned slowly toward her sister. You didn't save the kingdom. A pause. You delayed its judgment. Celine's face changed. For the first time, fear cracked through her control. You don't understand what you're doing. Arya stepped closer to the crystal. I understand everything now. The crystal flared. A beam of silver light shot upward through the chamber. Through the earth. Through the burning estate above. The entire kingdom trembled. Celine screamed. Stop it! She lunged forward. But Ronan intercepted her. Steel met steel. A clash of power. Alpha against traitor. Celine hissed. You'll kill her! Ronan didn't hesitate. I trust her. The words hit Celine harder than any blade. Arya placed her hand on the crystal, and everything stopped. Silence. Even the fighting above paused. The world held its breath. The crystal spoke one final time. Become whole. Arya closed her eyes. I don't know how. Ronan's voice came softly behind her. Then I'll stay until you do. Something inside her broke open. Not pain. Release. The silver mark spread across her arm, across her chest, across the chamber. Celine stepped back in horror. No, 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 this isn't supposed to happen like this, Arya whispered. It already is. A flash of light consumed everything. When the light faded, silence. The chamber was whole again. No cracks, no ruins, just calm stone glowing faintly with silver veins. Ronan slowly opened his eyes. Arya? No answer. Arya! Then, a breath. Behind him. He turned. She stood there, but not as before. Not broken. Not hidden. Whole. The mark on her skin had transformed into a silver crown-like symbol. Alive. Balanced. Ronan whispered, You're different. Arya looked at him and smiled faintly. I'm me. Above them, the Eclipse Court forces were gone. Not defeated, not destroyed. Erased from the structure of the kingdom itself. Celine was on her knees at the edge of the chamber opening. Alive, but shaken. Arya walked toward her. Slowly. Celine looked up. For the first time, no pride remained. Only exhaustion. You won! Arya shook her head. No. A pause. I ended it. Silence. Celine whispered. What happens to me now? Arya looked at her for a long moment, then answered softly. You live. Celine blinked. That's it? Arya nodded. Because I remember you too. A pause. You were scared long before I was. Celine's eyes filled slightly, but she looked away quickly. Ronan stepped beside Arya. Is it over? Arya looked at him, then at the world above. At the future waiting. Yes. A pause. Not everything is fixed, but the truth is free. Ronan exhaled slowly. And us? Arya looked at him for a long moment, then stepped closer. I don't want a chosen mate. He froze slightly. She continued. I want a real one. A beat of silence. Then Ronan spoke softly. Then you already have one. Above them, dawn light began to break through the broken estate. Not destruction, rebirth. Arya took his hand, for the first time without fear, and together they walked out of the darkness, into a world that finally knew her name, not as an Omega, not as a hidden heir, but as the one who became whole, the true moonborn queen, and the Alpha who finally chose right. The end.